Oh my gosh, it is pouring outside. Absolutely pouring. Hi guys, what is up? Hello, welcome back, or welcome to if you are new here. My name is Logan, and today we are going to go through all of the books that I read in January. As with most things in my life, I started out very strong. I thought I was going to read so many books this month, but I only read 5, and 2 of them were audiobooks and only like 3 hours long. So that is okay. 5 books, some great books, some not so great books, got all the juicy details coming at you. The first book that I'm going to talk about is actually a book I started at the beginning of December, and I finished it, I think on like January 1st or 2nd or whatnot. But my Goodreads, because I finished it in January, it goes towards my January or my 2021 reading goal number, whatever that thing is. And so I was just like, oh, what the heck, why not? I'm just going to include it all across the board for my January stuff and not my December stuff. It is what it is. But that book is So You Want to Talk About Race. Can't tell, I don't know, did I get anything out of it? I can't tell. This book should be required reading. I thought it was so well written, so informative, uncomfortable in the best way possible, and just dropping knowledge like without any other better way to articulate it. You should read it if that wasn't already abundantly clear. Book number 2 was actually a funny story, but book number 2 was Liar's Poker. This was the book that was picked for my book club with all my friends, and I listened to it as an audiobook, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is such a short audiobook, and the Kindle seems like it's like 300, 400 pages. I can't believe it's only 3 hours as a audiobook experience. I was listening to the abridged version. Didn't find that out until we were all meeting. But I will say I think I got most of what I needed out of that book. There was no topics that they were discussing from the book as they read it that I did not listen to as in the audiobook. I thought this book was fine. I think it gave a little bit more insight into the financial world, but I didn't enjoy it that much. It kind of just made me go, okay. And that was my whole take on the book. But I think I would have liked more, or maybe what I'll try to read in the future, is Women in Finance, or what a women's perspective of the world of finance would be like. I feel like that would just be very interesting and eye-opening. Yeah. The third book that I read this month was David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell. If you guys have seen some of my other videos, you know that I read Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell, and it was amazing. It is probably one of my favorite audiobooks I've ever listened to, and definitely one of my favorite self-development books, point blank period. So you can believe I had high expectations going into my second Malcolm Gladwell book, and it was fine. It definitely didn't move me or inspire me as much as Talking to Strangers. So David and Goliath, if you guys aren't familiar with the kind of biblical story, is about David, who is this shepherd, and Goliath, who is Goliath. He's a large man, strong, all these things, etc. And they go into a fight, and David wins, Goliath loses, the little guy wins, the underdog, right? So what Malcolm Gladwell does is he takes a look and really hones in on why does the underdog win, or how does the underdog win. I thought it was a fine book. It didn't blow me away in any sort of which way, but I didn't think it was terrible. And that's that. Book number 4 was The Duke and I from the Bridgerton series by Julia Quinn. I'm actually not going to say too much about this because I did a whole book review on that. So if you want to check that out, I will link that in the description below. But I read it. That's all I'll say. The 5th book that I read was Failing Up by Leslie Odom Jr. I wanted to listen to this as an audiobook because I think his voice is hypnotic. I think his singing voices, I think his speaking voices, it's just so effortlessly beautiful that I was sold on listening to his audiobook. It was a pretty quick one. I think it was only 3 or 4 hours long. It did take me a while to read it though, or listen to it. That's beside the point. I thought this was another fine book. A couple of interesting points, but I sort of left not really understanding if this was supposed to be a self-development book or was it supposed to be a memoir. I didn't learn that much about him and I feel like I didn't develop that much. And the last book that I read in January was Outlawed. This book was everywhere in January. It was Reese's book club pick, it was Bellatrist book club pick, and it was one of the book of the month, one of the 5 options for their picks. So it was everywhere. I thought it was fine. I saw a couple of people's critique of it being that it wasn't what they expected. I think a pro for me was that I didn't go into it with any expectations. I just thought, hey, this cover's really amazing. Oh, I have it somewhere. Let me grab it. I'm sorry. I love this. I love this. I love this. I love this. I think that this is probably one of the most beautiful, cutest, coolest covers ever. Yeah. So if nothing else, this brings me so much joy. But yeah, I really only picked it because I was like, oh, this cover is so cool. The storyline seems pretty decent as well. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone. I don't read a lot of like Western types of books. So picked it up, decided to read it along with all the other book clubs, and it was a pretty good book. I think it was probably like a 3 out of 5. One thing I will note is the book felt like a retelling of a story, not so much an in the moment, all engrossing, captivating type of thing, if that makes sense. Hard to articulate, but it just felt like the whole story had just this like fog or like disconnected element to it. And there you have it. Those are all of the books that I read in January. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below if you've read any of these books or if you have any thoughts on any books or any recommendations. I love to talk with y'all in the comments. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!